and then men's adventure fiction magazines were coming out, and all the short pulps were just on the news racks, and people were just getting stories like this constantly. It makes you feel like they're not gone. They're waking up, dude.
Welcome back to the Men's Adventure Fiction Podcast. We are coming off of 4 weeks straight of having some incredible guests on the show with us. We were able to talk about kind of the transition from Men's Adventure Fiction May into the West, with starting with Ryan Pote, whose book is coming out very soon. At time of this going live, I think it'll be maybe like 3 weeks exactly. Do not want to miss that. You still have a chance to pre-order it. Super exciting stuff. You still have a chance. He talked about it on his interview. Go check out his website and start that virtual treasure hunt. You don't want to miss that out on that. And then we had craziest of all crazy moments, Beau L'Amour on the show. Not for just for one episode, but for two. And then T.G. Brown, whose book is still #1 on the
Beast.
New sellers for action and adventure, man. Guy is killing it. So check that out too. Cut Them Down. Great book about the Western. But I'm here with L.S. Goodish, my great buddy. How are you doing, my friend? How's it been? It's been a while since it's been just the two of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's nice to be able to see you and just chat free form together, because it's been a minute since we've done that. I'm feeling good. It's early where we are. Of course, we're doing an early riser today, so you might be able to tell in the voices or the eye bags for me, you know. So, but it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to be here. We're gonna be chatting, like you said, free form, just to be together, and also we're gonna do a little bit of a focus on what is Veritas, just because we've had people ask like, "Hey, what is that?" and "Who is that? What is going on?" So we just wanted to do an episode to clear the air, so that also if people ask in the future, it's like, what is that? Send them here.
Send them to the
episode. This is the answer. Here we go. And Veritas is very much so about you guys. It's a team we're trying to recruit and have you guys join us. So this is not just us being like, here's what we're doing. It's an invitation. It's like an extending of a hand saying like, here's what we're doing. Come along, be a part of this. So I'm excited to share kind of our vision of Veritas Entertainment together, and just honestly be back with my friend Nathaniel. How are you this morning?
I'm doing very good. It has been, not gonna lie, it has been a little bit of a grind, because we got some super exciting things coming up less than a week from this going live. We have the Western Showcase, Veritas Entertainment Western Showcase, which is happening in 3 different locations across the planet, dude. Well, really just the United States, and 2 of them are in the same state, but it's like 5 hours away, so it almost counts as 2 different states. But we are doing a live showing of the Western Showcase. We're going to do a handful of them. We've gotten a lot of submissions, and so we don't have time to do all of them back to back to back to back. But I will be on, well, I guess I should do chronological order. So you're going to be at Squirrel Hill Sports Bar in Pittsburgh on July 5th for the showing, and then an after party afterwards. Two-stick. Is Casey doing his on the 5th as well?
July 5th, yep.
All right, cool. Do we know the name of that one?
Not off the top of my head, but we do. He texted it somewhere. Or it's on that flyer.
All right, cool. Yeah, on a flyer in Tampa Bay, right?
In Tampa, yep.
There you go, dude. Go to Florida. go see Veritas Films in Florida. And then Sunday, July 6th, starting at 4:45, you can show up at the Strasburg Railroad, which is an absolutely incredible place. And you can go on a stunt show ride with, like, actually on a train that ends in their town square stage area. And then right after that, about 6:15, we are going to move into their event space hall, and we're going to watch these Western short films. So their stunt show is The Wild Bunch. So Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid ride against Pinkerton agents. Super cool. I was able to, we kind of did a treatment of that script and made it into a screenplay. And they actually have one of their films going to be in the short film festival, and it is fantastic. They have some incredibly professional actors and actresses there. Incredible time shooting that. It's gonna be really cool stuff, and you guys can go see these. So cool. So we're to Luke's point, right? This is Veritas Entertainment is about bringing the opportunity to create incredible high form entertainment to the masses. But all of that is to say, I've been grinding hard on on editing these videos. I'm working on editing some short stories and some books for the Western Roundup, and a very exciting release coming out. But I just wanted to touch back on you. So you and Casey have made a lot of stuff together, but this one was a lot bigger in scope than anything you've made before. So how was it shooting a full-on Western film? How'd that go?
It's to the point of kind of like Veritas in motion and the ethos of it working out in real time for my own life, where it's like Veritas is giving you the call, the challenge, and like the opportunity and the showcase to do something to kind of give you the motivation to do it.
Right.
Because this was way, like you said, way bigger and more involved, and it's just something that was not going to happen on a whim at all, especially now that Casey lives in Florida and we're talking shipping this equipment across state lines. It's like, just cause? No. Like, we needed a reason, a deadline, and all this kind of stuff. So it was cool to like see Veritas work in my own life and kind of put me into a corner to make me actually do something I've said I've always wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, we were making films back in third grade when we met, and we continued that until we got too cool in like high school, and then I got a girlfriend, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Never written a screenplay. All right, I'm a cool guy. I don't write stuff, and so I stopped for like chunky years, so like all of high school, so like 4 years there, and then like 2 or 3 years into college. So like I probably stopped for around 7 years writing anything, and then picked it back up with writing and novels and stuff. And then Casey gets out of the military and puts Veritas together, and we're back doing what we did in third grade, but on a way bigger scale. It was kind of cool and surreal to be back doing it with my friend. But like you said, it was bigger than anything we've done. So like climbing on top of horses and being a part of a set that had like at least, like 12, 15 people walking around. I was like, this is crazy. This feels weird. So just seeing a bounce board was weird because I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen that. It was super fun, super surreal, and I hope that you guys enjoy it because I was thoroughly impressed too. Like when I saw the final cut, we just got the cut back from our composer with the score, and I was like, this is nuts, dude. Like, look at my mustache. That's not my mustache. So it was a pretty cool experience. But how about you, man? You shot 3? What's your part of 3?
Yeah.
How have you been, first off, handling literally being the most busy Veritas guy known to man right now? And how was it shooting your Westerns, man?
Yeah, those are great questions. I do want to circle back to Hell at My Heels because you guys, incredible production. I mean, like I said, the scope, fantastic. The quality, even higher than the scope. And the scope is just out of this world. I mean, like you said, dude, like 12 to 15 people on set. I've been making short films and web series episodes for like almost 10 years now. Maybe even longer if you go back to the earliest stuff. And never have we ever, I mean, probably the most we've ever had on set is like 8 people maybe. Yeah. So, dude, you guys have just like jumped straight to the big time. It's so cool to see. And the story is fantastic and the acting is incredible. So you guys are in for a treat. Make sure you make it out Friday or Saturday to see this. Super cool. But yeah, I was able to play a co-lead role. I think there's 4 leads in one of them. I was one of the 4. That one's called The Last Hand. It is made by Broadside Visuals, who is actually they're a wedding videographer and photographer team, husband and wife, and they just incredible. I mean, they like bridge the gap between like cinema and high art because I mean that's literally what they do for a living, right? So this was his kind of first foray into narrative filmmaking in years. Similar to Luke and I, he has been like passionate about storytelling his whole entire life, but had to focus more on that, like storytelling for a wedding. So he's been itching to get into narrative storytelling for so long. So we met at a pipe event in Lancaster, and it was just a God thing, you know. It's like, dude, no way. This is crazy. So cool that you're interested in doing this. Perfect timing for a Western short film. And he, like you said, there's one thing to want to do something, but then there's another to have the thing like kind of just thrust into your lap. And it's like, all right, what do I do? Do I turn away from this because I'm not ready, or do I just go full force and make it happen regardless of how ready I am, and kind of get ready on the way? And he was ready. There's no question about that. It is incredible. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, that was one of the trailers that we showed. Really great story, really great movie. Super excited to be a part of. So that was really fun. And we got to do some really sick stunt fighting, some really cool choreography. So that was cool. But I was very hands off. All I was there to say like maybe like 3 lines and do some things. But then I wrote and directed and put together mine. And actually Lucas from Broadside was able to shoot that for me with the help of my other friend Ivan, who's been my longtime DP. He's just shot pretty much everything that I've been in.
That's awesome.
But he was unavailable the day we did like main shooting, and he was available when we did the stuff with the train. And so in mine, basically the story is a kind of like a man with no name type of character, just a lone cowboy, is off in the jungles of Mexico trying to find a lost treasure because his partner gave him a map to find it. So it's very much like kind of a classic Western, right? Like it's not necessarily real, true to life. It's definitely not like it has grittiness to it, but it's not like a Cormac McCarthy or kind of like ultra gritty. I would say it's probably less gritty than even like some of the Italian or the spaghetti Westerns that were kind of like super like gung-ho on shooting them up and killing everybody. I mean, there's definitely a lot of shooting them up.
Yeah.
You just have to watch it to see.
Yeah, you got to sprinkle Nate Colt into like a very fun Rio Bravo era Western.
Yeah, exactly.
Mix it up, dude, and you get this very sweet, like, comes out on the other end looking like John Wick, like shoot 'em up Western. It's like very sick action Western that I wish Hollywood was making stuff like this, because, dude, imagine seeing your film as a feature on the big screen. Like, that's the kind of Western I want to be watching. Some days I just want to see some cowboy fighting.
Yeah.
Yours is the one to go to. There's some phenomenal shootouts, some phenomenal fist fights. Action movie peak right there.
Yeah. And I got to shout out my boys, Drew, Jordan, and CJ, dude. They carry the movie, right? Because I think I say
some incredible acting.
3 lines, and these are just my friends. These are not like professional actors, but dude, they came to bring it, dude. And they're the 4 bad guys. Well, bad guys, very they're all kind of outlaws, so they're all kind of bad guys, but they're the 4 scoundrels coming after Kavanaugh Harris, and dude, they just brought the heat. When I remember getting to the editing room floor and looking at it, I was like, dude, there's no way. Like, these guys are so good that for next time we do the Western Short Film Festival, I think I'm gonna rework the same characters into my character being the bad guy and their characters being the good guys, because they're just so good. I want more of them doing that because it was so much fun to watch.
Heck yeah.
So super cool. And I've said this before. I think I said it maybe a week or 2 ago, but this is like, it's one thing to be making films, but there's nothing quite like, and every single time I film something, I'm sitting there kitted up in whatever outfit I'm wearing, guns on my waist and my shoulder holster. And I'm looking around at all these people that I've asked to come help me, and they've said yes, and they're all standing there holding guns. Someone's behind a camera, and it's like, dude, this is what it's all about, right? Like, it is really cool to make a film and have that for the rest of eternity, but what's hard to define in its coolness and like longevity is being there actually doing it, right? Like, this is truthfully similar to the podcast. If nothing came as a product of that, some of my best memories and the best times I ever had are sitting there for 8 hours with really good friends on set, running around in the woods or outside of a mansion, fist fighting and shooting at each other. I mean, we were in the woods in middle of central Pennsylvania for 9 hours, something like that.
Right.
9 hours. Just three bros
So
hanging
fun.
out, punching each other, shooting at each other. It's like, yeah, we got a really sick short film and a really sick book trailer. But dude, just running around in the woods with the boys is what it's all about. So don't get it twisted. That's why I do this for sure. Like, I love the storytelling, but there's always a moment where it's like, dude, this is what it's all about right here. Yeah, super cool stuff.
Dude, that's kind of what I love about the putting on the film festivals. And for everybody who's like, oh, I missed this one, should have done. Well, we have the next one's going to be for Halloween, the Halloween season.
Yeah, dude,
because
super cool.
people need some stuff to do during the spooky season. We're going to give them something to do. And we're in the talks, the three of us, about how to make this one bigger, more extensive, get more people to be able to show up. So we're not going to talk about our plans yet because we don't know them. We're solidifying them. But our plan is, at least to put on a very fun, community-driven horror short film festival.
Yeah, seriously.
So you have the chance to do that and take horror as loose as you want. You want to do a thriller. You want to do kind of like a Mummy. Don't feel like constrained by, oh, I'm not a horror fan or anything. Neither am I, really. I like a few horror movies, but this is going to be another great, fun example of, you get the chance to do something and you have a reason to do it. I feel like, I feel like if you have doubts but you want to do it, it's about pulling the trigger and trying. And we want to see your short film. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want to see. People who are like, I always wanted to write a book, or I always wanted to be in a movie. Like, I love bridging that gap and giving them that chance, because then they realize, that they can do it, and it opens that floodgate, and it's like, all right, let's see you run. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. I like writing and I want to do it, and I'll continue to do it. But I care more about being the Dana White of other writers and other filmmakers, where I just want to promote the best that are out there. So, please do join us next time. We want you guys to try this. It's not like, oh, the fun's for us. The fun is for everybody here and watch it. It's fun. It's for you. Could be the guy dressed in the costume on set with the guns, realizing that you're Brendan Fraser from The Mummy, and you're like, yeah, I'm living the life right now.
Yeah, I mean, 100% exactly what you said, dude. I can't reiterate it enough. I mean, it's like, you guys have the opportunity to do the things you've always dreamed about, right? We've always had that at our grasp as an individual. It's something that I've been super passionate about. I mean, I think it's, maybe it's Thoreau. He says, go out and live the life you've imagined for yourself, right? Like, we live in a culture that is very, like, I don't know, very, like, super free to do whatever you want, and they're encouraging of that. But then you do something that's not kind of within their construct of, like, oh, do whatever you want. And they're like, well, no, nobody should be doing that. Like, that's too much, like, nobody's walking around just being like, yeah, I'm making movies all the time. And they're like, no, you can't do that. You don't have money for that. And you're just like,
yeah, you're not in Hollywood. What are you talking about?
It's like, yeah, dude, I don't need money. I'm going to make it happen because I want to live the dreams. I want to make the reality that I've always dreamed of by actually doing it, right? And I think that you look at people who are successful, you look at people who work hard, they are the ones who, I mean, there's two camps, right? There's the ones who go very quietly into, like, success and are miserable, and all they have to show for their life is money. And then you have the people who are always pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries, realizing that life is finite and that they have an opportunity to tell stories, to do the things that they dreamed of, to make the things happen that they've always hoped could happen. And those are the people who, I think, they may not be the wealthiest people, but I think they've got the richest lives, and that's super cool to see. And then to circle back to the horror, I mean, you can hear horror and you can think a lot of different things, right? But what we can't forget for the people listening to this, I mean, horror is a huge spectrum of filmmaking and storytelling. And so I'm sure there's a ton of people who are going to hear this that are kind of outside of the men's adventure fiction world. And oh, hell yeah, I'm making a horror film. This is going to be so cool. But for you guys who are listening, and maybe you're an aspiring filmmaker, maybe you've never shot anything a day in your life, but you've been thinking like, man, it'd be really cool to be on screen. I missed my chance for the Western. That would have been sick to do. Pulp, the Pulp magazines are just filled with all sorts of horror, all sorts of crazy stories. I mean, you've got Weird
Solomon
West.
Kane, dude.
Yeah, Solomon Kane. You have like even I think it's Sax Rohmer's Dr. Fu Manchu, which is kind of like a crazy megalomania guy who is like literally. I guess he would technically be more thriller, but the main character is always getting like caught and having the bamboo shoots up his fingernails and just like some terrifying torture scenes and like a massive threat of just kind of like ominous underlying horror. So you could, like Luke said, you could go really wild with it. I think with the Railroad, who we're doing the showing with, they have murder mystery events that go on all the time. I think that I'm going to talk with them because they really love making this short film for the Western. And they, like I said, they've got just access to incredible actors and actresses. It would be really cool to adapt one of their murder mysteries into a full-on horror aspect. I mean, you can think of like Clue, the old movie, pushing that just a little further, dude. It could have been very much like a slasher horror movie in a very pulpy way. So I think that you kind of have to, and this is what it gets to. Westerns were hard for us to define. We've talked about that before. Like, what the heck is a Western? Horror is, for good purposes, much more hard to define. You can literally have anything scary and it can be slipped into horror, I think. And Luke said it too. Go out there and make a freaking new Mummy, dude. Get some toilet paper around your buddy, some crazy practical effects, dude. You can make something really, really cool. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what I've got planned, which I'm still in the early planning stages for. A couple of my friends have recruited me to help shoot something they want to do too. So, I mean, this is going to be big. We've got some really cool stuff coming. So, horror, we're hitting all the pulp genres, dude.
Season 2, Episode 5 of Primal. That's what you can make.
Yeah,
Something like that.
You could definitely make something like that. We could talk about that. Quick sidebar. The TV show Primal is made by Jendi Tartakovsky, I believe is his name, who made Samurai Jack, and he did the two-dimensional animated Star Wars Clone Wars show, and he is definitely a men's adventure fiction guy. His characters are Spear and Fang in the Primal TV show, and Spear and Fang, I think, are a nod to Robert E. Howard, so he's very much kind of locked into the pulp work ethic, pulp mindset, but he has this show Primal that is about a primal man who loses his family to a T-Rex, I think, and a dinosaur who loses her family to a T-Rex, and they kind of come together and have crazy adventures. But out of the blue, season 2, episode 5, it jumps from the I don't know, early history of man straight to 1890s England, dude, and it has maybe the most hype episode of an animated TV show I've ever seen. It gets me pumped up so much.
Like Most Dangerous Game meets, I don't even know, like Predator almost.
Yeah,
you know?
almost.
It's really inside of a mansion. So check that out if you haven't seen it. But it's just, that's another example of how horror does not have to be what you originally think. And we can do a men's adventure fiction spin on this. And
Yeah, dude,
I know that at least
really
that's
good
the
idea.
angle. The angle I'm going to try to take is more so like, how do you make men's adventure fiction horror?
Right,
Even Straw Dogs, dude. That's like men's adventure fiction drama, but also horrific, like
Right.
horrifying. The boundaries are not so cut and dry. You can
right.
wiggle room yourself into something you want to make. So don't worry. I think people get caught up on that kind of stuff. And they're like, well, I don't want to do it for that, this or that reason. Forget it, dude.
Right.
We want to see what you got. We want to see the creativity. This is a part of the kind of, power is not the right word, but like the benefit of what we're doing here is that we don't have studios breathing down our neck being like, nah, we want more of that. Like, you get to do what you want to do.
Right.
And it's by the people, for the people type stuff. And I love that about it. I love the kind of like scrappy, like, how do we get this done? How do we make a bigger energy we're all bringing? Because it's already happening. Like, we're already, like, I'm going to be at the Squirrel Hill Sports Bar this weekend, and I'm going to try not to throw up thinking about it, but like, there's a huge screen, like it used to be a theater, so there's an absolute screen of all screens in the back, and a stage, and then like a huge room that we're going to have filled up watching your guys' stuff.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, my
seriously.
stuff too, which means I have to see myself up there with very bad, not ready for. But it's so cool to think like this is how the first one started, and our plans for the next one that we can't really get into yet. But like this is gonna, I love the fact that it's gonna snowball, and that we're just gonna keep like kind of pushing back against the things that we're always complaining about. Where it's like, I wish Hollywood made more of this. And
Right.
every time me and Nathaniel leave a movie, we're like, I love this, but I wish there was more action or like one and more men's adventure fiction vibes. And it's like, all right, we'll just do it ourselves then,
Right.
and we'll do it
Someone's
with
got
you
to do it.
guys, and we'll just. It's so cool the way the world is evolving so much, and people get most of their entertainment from their phone. It's like we really have a chance to be like a new evolution in what goes on in entertainment. Like what is the in between Hollywood and your phone? You know, like we
Yeah.
can put something right there in the middle that is like real fun events, community driven, artist driven, and it's exciting. I'm pumped that we're doing this, and my coffee's
Right.
starting to hit. I think so. That's why I'm like, let's
He's
go.
locked in, dude. Um, which brings us to talk about. All right, I go see a movie and it's not quite what I want. I gotta inject this into it. You talked about Rio Bravo earlier, and just kind of classic westerns in general. So if you love like 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s era western filmmaking, but you've always kind of thought like, oh man, there was definitely time for one or two more action beats, then wait no longer. Today or yesterday, I guess, at time of this going live, that has fallen into your lap. All you have to do is click buy now on Amazon because Gun Law Bloodlands is out now, and it is exactly that. Mr. L.S. Goodish wrote this book, and it is fantastic. It is, I think, in he asked me to kind of write up a blurb, and my first thought was like, all right, so you've got this legacy of westerns that are so good. You've got stuff like the Dollars trilogy, like I said, Rio Bravo, The Magnificent Seven, Lone Ranger, kind of these like classic old school westerns that were really, really good, but there's just limitations that they had. You know, like some of the stuff kind of falls flat when you look at it now. I mean, Comancheros, any of these John Wayne movies, like they're all so good, but there's always like one or two scenes where you're like, oh man, I feel like we could have injected a little more punch to it, you know, or we've talked about this before on the podcast. Sometimes you have these crazy fight scenes, and sometimes they're the best fist fight you've ever seen in a western. Other times you're like, oh, dude, that's definitely like a 30-year younger guy wearing a really bad wig, like clearly not the man that we're supposed to believe he is. So there's stuff like that that kind of just like, whoa, it just got jerked out of the narrative. But this is what Gun Law does so well, is it has that very similar kind of like classic. You're gonna read this book and you're like, okay, it's just like I'm watching Lone Ranger at my grandpa's house when I was like 10 years old. But then you're also gonna be like, oh my gosh, dude, this is like the stakes of a Mission Impossible movie, and the action, like the fast-paced action of the best James Bond, the best John Wick. You know, it's like incredibly well paced, incredible set pieces. I mean, some stuff reminded me of Uncharted. Even like, you just got everything you want from this book, and it
Thank
is
you.
so much fun. So, what kind of tell us a little bit? We don't want to spend like a ton of like the episode is now the Gun Law
Yeah.
episode, but I do want to get into kind of your mind about what inspired you to write this western. Like, what was your goal with it?
Well, definitely thank you for the kind words. First
For
off,
sure,
can't let that go by. I appreciate how
of course.
supportive you've been through the process of writing this one. But, dude, it's for me, like I put the post on Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, you wouldn't have seen it. But I talked about how I watched or I played Red Dead Redemption around when it came out, like 2010. So I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid, and I like it was summer. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had like Casey, maybe one other friend. I was kind of a loser for a very long time. So I had no friends. It was summer. I'm playing this game. I'm with this cowboy for like 11 plus hours. And then, spoiler alert, the end happens. If you've seen the ending, I start crying like a baby. I'm super invested. I'm like, whoa, dude, what? This story just impacted me so much. I was like,
Right.
I fell in love with the Western genre. This was my intro into Westerns. I had seen them, obviously, like you said, Grandpa's house. I saw them, but I
Right.
kind of, they were on, and I wasn't really watching them. This was what locked me into like, whoa, whatever is here, I love that. And so I remember that summer turned into me going to my dad and being like, can you show me more westerns? Like, what is this genre? I want to see some of this. And I just remember watching like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Tombstone, and his recommendations, and like, Hang 'Em High and Outlaw Josie Wells, and just all these Clint Eastwood movies back to back to
Right.
back. And it was a great summer where I just kind of like fell in love with the genre that would become one of my favorites of all time, if not my favorite genre. Because survival fiction is like my favorite, but every western has that, and it's
Yeah, that's kind of the
in
whole
spades,
thing.
Yeah, so I love the western, and so from that moment, I knew I wanted to make one. But then, we started to do the western short films and everything like that, and this was finally like an opportunity where I was like, hey, my western can come out right here with
Yeah,
these
yeah.
alongside of it. So the timing couldn't have been better for it, and the story for me, I wanted to mix what you're talking about, like Lone Ranger, super pulpy, like serial style
Yeah.
western character that's kind of like akin to like Noah Redford, where it's like, all right, this is like absurd action, like this is wild. What's going on here?
Right, like
It make
larger than life almost.
right, but I know that like in this era, sometimes people don't like their character to be like exactly cut and dry, like Lone Ranger, where it's like super squeaky clean 1940s.
Right.
Like I wanted to infuse a little bit more of like a Louis L'Amour or like Elmore Leonard, like some just more modern grit to it, like kind of like
Yeah,
wipe
yeah.
that mud on that a little bit. And so
Right.
that was my intention throughout writing it, was just, hey, how can I mix Louis L'Amour and Lone Ranger? And like, I think this might be my most polarizing book, just for the fact that this is I think it's my most action packed book. I don't think I've ever written in this many action scenes in that amount of time, because it's not a huge book. It'll probably be around what Fire in the Tall Grass is, but I think it has like 20% more fighting and gunfights and stuff.
Which, if
So
you're hearing this and you're like, dude, Fire in the Tall Grass was already like loaded with action, dude. How can there be 20% more? It is, to that point, it is paced very well. I didn't feel like, never once was I like, oh man, another action scene, dude. No way, this sucks. And that's not just for me, who's like the king of like wanting more action in stories. I felt like everything that happened was earned, and every kind of fight scene was set up perfectly. And I think that it was like, because this is not just an action story, right? This is like a
right,
serious, similar to what Terrence said about Longwood Trail. Like, this is a noir western. This is another very good example of kind of like noir influences sneaking into a western, right? You've got a big high stakes event that happens right off the rip, and the whole entire story is the Marshal Cole Hartnett trying to put two and two together, sometimes two, three, four, five, and all together, to figure this out, because there's so many layers to it. There's so much like greed and danger lurking in the shadows. So you never lose the story for the action, which is what we've talked about this before. It's both of our biggest kind of issue with the John Wick movies. Like, for action, you can do nearly no better. Those movies are so well done. The choreography is so good, but you're kind of like, okay, this is literally just like here for the action. There is no greater story. The greater story is very like loose, just so that we can get to the set pieces. That is not the case here. The set pieces are to get to the story. You know what I mean? So I think
right.
I wouldn't be. It may be polarizing, like you said, but I did not feel like it was unearned at all. It's incredible for that reason.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
I'm
course.
excited for people. I'm excited for you guys to read it. I hope you do, because it's surprised the heck out of me. I was telling Nathaniel, like, I personally did not see the ending coming at all,
Yeah,
and
me neither.
didn't expect it at all. So it's one of those. If you're a writer, you kind of know that feeling sometimes, where your character's taken a direction that you didn't know it was going to go. I had a lot of fun kind of seeing Cole Hartnett kind of take on a life of his own, seeing all the side characters take on a life of their own, and the ending shocked me, and I'm excited to write the sequel now, because it's like that was totally the opposite
Yeah,
direction where I
dude.
thought we were going. So
It's really cool.
good
Yeah,
times.
I think it plays on like classic tropes, and not a big fan of subverting expectations, so I won't say that, but it twists them just enough that you're like, oh, whoa, was not expecting that, which I
Yeah,
think is really good.
dude, I think that's the challenge. Not with just this book, but I think for what you write and what I write, is we do love and respect the history and like where we're coming from so much that we're not huge, like certainly not Cormac guys or like Taylor Sheridan guys where it's like I want to turn this on its head.
Right.
But I also don't want to bore the reader who's like, okay, I've seen that 100 million times. Like this is
I've read every Louis L'Amour book already. I don't
yeah.
need Louis 2.0.
So for this, just like a lot of the things we write, it's like I had to walk that fine line between like, okay, from page one, a lot of Western fans are like, I figured it out. That's very simple.
Right.
But it's like, well, no, you didn't. All right, let's just be a little more nuanced here. So I tried to add just like a few more twists and turns and nuance so that it kept the reader who is a well-versed Western watcher or reader, because you're gonna read the first couple bits of setup and you're gonna think, okay, I've got this thing mapped completely.
Right.
And that's where the action kind of comes in to surprise you, and then I hope there's some character turns and twists and things that you don't see coming that make you in the end go, okay, that yes, I kind of knew where this was going, but I did not see it happening like this, and I did not see that or that or that.
For sure. Right. I think that's like the challenge of it all, right? It's like you've got stuff like The Executioner that has 400, 500 books. And so there is one side of it where it's like, okay, if you give people the same thing that they love, they're going to love it, you know? But what I think makes a truly great writer or someone who's truly like pushing the craft to its next kind of iteration is taking the classic formula and twisting it just enough that it still satisfies your reader, but in a new way that hasn't necessarily been done before. I mean, to that point, like everything's been done, right? Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun and all that.
Yeah, and that was all the way back then.
Right, that was like 2,500 years ago. So clearly, everything's been done multiple times. But you can take stuff, and I think it's what you said. When you're writing a story, no matter if you've kind of really detailed the plot or if you're just kind of writing off the cuff, when it comes in and surprises you, that's when you know you're like sitting on gold. And maybe we've talked before about how neither of us are like huge plot twist guys. Like we never see it coming. So maybe the reader will be reading our stuff like, how did they not see this coming? It's like, I don't know, dude. It surprised me. It came out of left field. I was not expecting that. So it is possible that plot twists don't hit as hard if you're not writing them. But I think, dude, when you as the writer are like, did not see that coming, then you know you've struck gold. And I mean, I remember you texting me because I was able to kind of read this as you were writing it, and you texted me like, dude, I don't know if you're going to like the ending because it took a totally different turn than I was expecting. I was like, well, that makes me super excited. If you didn't see it coming, then there's no chance I did. So yeah, definitely sound off if you pick it up, what you think of it. It is fantastic. Yeah, super cool. Jump in the Discord, talk about it. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, please go ahead and buy that. I would appreciate it a lot, just because I want to see what people's thoughts are on this ending. I was like texting Nathaniel so much about like, all right, does it work for you? What's going on here? What are your thoughts? So I want more people to give me data points on what do you think? What's going on here? So I would love to have this conversation with you guys. But Nathaniel, should we pivot now to the publishing side of Veritas a little bit now that we talked about my book coming out?
Yeah, dude.
Tuesday, July 1st. We also, I'm not the only writer for Veritas. Now we've got 10 writers. Is it 10 writers for Veritas these days?
Well, I think if you do the Western roundup, it's even more, dude.
Oh man, yeah. Now it's way more than that.
These were the top 3 from Men's Adventure Fiction May, and Luke's got the stack of everything, dude. Let's show it. There you go. Treasure in my trade.
So this is what Veritas has published so far, and in like this year alone, right? Those are all this year. All right.
So even like 2 months, most of this stuff has come out. The last 2 months.
Because this is May.
Yeah.
This is February. This is the one that's not a part of May.
Wait, for those who aren't watching, we had Treasures in my Trade, Fire in the Tall Grass next, and then Unwanted Passenger by Terrence Lehue.
May release.
May release.
Adventure Fiction May winner.
Pool of the Tide by London Baker. Great book.
If you're into fishing, buy that book, put it in your back pocket, go on your fishing trip, have it with you, and read it then, dude.
It would be perfect time.
Perfect for that.
Cherry Blossoms by Midnight by Z.D. Ullman. A
Absolute
classic noir.
fantastic noir, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And another one that
Incredible.
like doesn't subvert your expectations, but twists stuff just enough.
I want to talk about subverting expectations and being something unique and all on its own, dude. Lady Evil.
Yeah, dude. Lady Evil by Austin Lee Turner. Crazy book. I you could say so much about this book, but I don't want to spoil it. But it's very much like post-apocalyptic, but classic sword and sorcery aspects, all married into just one wildly phenomenal book.
Yeah,
Super
it's like
cool.
give me a little bit of Witcher inside the Mad Max-ish universe, dude. Mix that up in a
Yeah, dude.
blender,
And kind of
pour it
like
out.
also a Book of Eli
Yeah,
universe too. It's just super layered, super cool story.
very unique. Love it.
Dinner for One by it's pronounced Scamra, right? Paul Scamra.
Paul Scamra, that sounds right to me. It's
Yeah, dude.
another fantastic noir, a little action-heavy noir,
Right.
dude. Some sweet
Also
fights
some
in that one.
espionage
Yeah.
flavors, dude. Really good one.
Talk about westerns, dude. Got two coming up here. We got the Longwood Trail.
Longwood Trail, dude. Very, very cool book. Another, like Terrence Layhew said, kind of a Western noir. So
Yeah,
pretty
this
cool stuff.
is super layered characters. Another one that you're not necessarily know where it's going to go. The action's great. I think this would make an absolute nice double feature for Gun Law in this. Like if you
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
need a little binge action or a back to back, those two they pair together nicely.
Right. And if you're gonna do back to back, you might do back to back to back with
Yes, you should because
Rise
Sunrise
Over
Over
the
the Valley,
Valley, dude.
another absolute classic. And I love the way the back looks. I'm gonna show the back off.
Yeah, yeah, very cool.
This is, dude, George Cottonwood, classic Western writer. I would be honored and hope that we get him on as like just the in-house Veritas Western guy because
Yeah,
he
dude.
is in control of this genre, crushing it.
Right.
Absolutely knows what to do here.
It's that one kind of is like exactly what if I was trying to describe a Western plot, trying to figure out that one's very much kind of what it is, right? Like a guy is a town member, and then all of a sudden he has to be called on to be like more than that, and you're like, dude, yeah, this is a classic kind of Western trope that was done very well and not in like a tired way.
Right.
Phenomenal work.
And then, dude, last but not least, we got The Hound and the Scorpion, which
Oh
is
yeah, dude.
kind of tactical military fiction. Think American Sniper, but Ireland. Or
Yeah,
not
dude.
American Sniper, American Assassin,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Ireland. It
Yeah,
is
super cool.
very sick espionage thriller, tactical thriller, super great Irish military fiction.
Yeah. So I mean, there you go.
So
What?
we got the gambit, dude.
And then we've got the Western Short Story Roundup, which is what? How many new authors are contributed to that?
15, I think, maybe 13 to 15, somewhere in there.
15. Let me pull up. I'll pull up the post and I can read the names. Because that you guys are in for a treat with that. I think that the Western does really well in a novel form, in like kind of a shorter length novel, a longer length novel for sure. But it also does really well in the limit was 3,000 words for these short stories.
Yeah, little vignettes, dude. Just
Yeah, dude.
freaking sweet action.
So
Jesus.
incredible. So I can read 2025 Western Roundup. London Baker, Dustin Carter, George Cottonwood, James Dawson, William Hostler, Faith Layhew, which is Layhew sounds familiar. That is Terrence's wife. R.L. Moore, Ryan Permison, Jeff Pintabona, Slade Sasser, Paul Scamra, Grayson D. Sullivan, Austin Lee Turner, Sam Whitfield, and Aaron and Stephen Derrick Broadway. Man, we got
Let's go, dude.
the squad out here for this one.
This is fantastic.
And this is what's super cool about this, right? Like, Veritas is accepting submissions. So if you got a novel, you got a short story, you got a novella, whatever you got kind of in the pipeline, finish it up, polish it up, send it over to us. We will send it to the board of reviewers, read over it, and we'll get back to you very quickly. But we want to our passion, right? Like Luke said, he was talking about gun law, and then you read gun law, you go to Longwood Trail, you read Longwood Trail, you go to Sunrise Over the Valley, or you go to Sunrise Over the Valley, then you read Longwood Trail, like, oh man, there's some serious noir vibes here. Okay, well now I need to read Dinner for One, now I need to read Cherry Blossoms by Midnight, right? Like this is you could certainly become a self-published author and crush it and kill it, right? But what you don't have when you do that is you're one-man army. And we talked about this before on the podcast. One-man army is sick. Awesome stories that kind of come from it. But you can get tired, you can get worn out, you can get broken down, and you don't have someone to fall back on, to lean back on in times of need. But here, Veritas has this army. I mean, what we just listed, 25 authors,
Yeah.
20 plus authors. I guess some of them wrote for Men's Adventure Fiction.
Right, but I imagine we'll have to do the number, but it's got to be around 20 now between the Men's Adventure Fiction May and the
and
15.
you and me are also churning
And you
stuff
and me.
out, right? So you've got this legacy, right? I mean, and this is what, not only is it cool for you guys, it's cool for me and Luke, right? Like Luke publishes Fire in the Tall Grass. Somebody picks that up, and at the same time, because it's suggested, because there's overlap, they pick up Fighting Heart of Man, right? So they read that, and like, man, dude, Noah Redford's sick. So is this Nate Colt guy. And then they pick up Treasure Is My Trait. And they're like, dude, there was some serious noir flavors. I need more noir. Veritas has put out 3 bangers I've just read. What else do they have? And then they're going down the noir. And they're like, okay, well, if they can do this, they can do the rest of Men's Adventure Fiction Men's Adventure Fiction Justice. And so then they're just reading it, right? And this is what's cool too, is if you've published with us or you want to publish with us and you publish with us again, they're going to read your newest release and then they're like, oh man, what else did this guy write? And then they're going to go back and read the next release from you. And then they're like, okay, I need more. And so I think that this is just like, it gets back to, I mean, Luke loves to talk about it. Beau L'Amour said that Louis would have been absolutely tearing through this kind of world where publishing access is a lot more accessible. We're using access twice there. Sorry about that. Because that's kind of what it is, right? Like you're able to reach so many more people and you don't have the like hunched over your shoulders watching everything that you do from the big publishing houses. Like, oh no, can't say that. Can't talk about any of this stuff. It's like, no, dude, I'm writing what I want to write, and we want to give you guys a platform to get that out to the world and to be built on the shoulders of those who've come before you, those who are coming after you, and to work together as a team. And I think that it's just, we're off to an incredible start, rip-roaring start.
Yeah, it is awesome to see what Team Veritas and all those names we rattled off have accomplished in the first few months of doing this. And really, you know, February when Fire in the Tall Grass comes out, that's like a soft launch, and before that with a Fighting Heart of Man, it's like those were the warm-ups. But dude, since May, it's just been rip roaring, and it's non-stop, and we're just, it's amazing to see you guys bringing the top of the line men's adventure fiction stories and kind of giving all of us, including, you know, me and Nathaniel and then all the readers, like hope that world and that time that Nathaniel and I always talk about, where it's like, man, the men's adventure fiction magazines were coming out and all the short pulps were just on the news racks and people were just getting stories like this constantly. It makes you feel like they're not gone. They're waking up, dude.
Right.
We're all waking up that Leviathan, that sleeping beast of just the pulp kind of world of storytelling, and I love it. I love these short reads. Right? When would a traditional publishing house ever let a story like this be published and like make a release like that? They're like, no, it's not. Make it 50,000 words, and then we'll talk.
Make it 80,000, dude.
Yeah, make it 80,000.
There's no like limit to how much they're gonna force you to write. It's crazy.
So I love that we're getting these, you know, vignettes and just being creative and doing what we want. And I mean, think about the possibilities of, I think you said you'll do in the future, probably like you could read the book and then you could watch the short film, and it's like we could do the same thing where we could take one of your guys' stories and be like, all right, let's make it into a short film now. Once we get more money, who knows which one of these stories gets a feature. And it's like, I'm so excited for the possibilities of just building this new entertainment style, this new entertainment kind of answer in the world of the Wild West that's going on, with technology changing so much and entertainment changing so much, and give someone and everybody a chance to be a part of it and a chance to build it together. Team Veritas, dude. Yeah, I love this team we're building, and I appreciate every one of you guys who gifted your talents to one of these incredible stories, and hope to keep crushing it with you guys and keep cranking these out, because this is too fun.
Right. And I think that's something that is missing from like it gets back to the scope, right? The scope of what Veritas is able to accomplish together as a team is off the charts, right? There is no limit in sight. And I think that to have a print publication, super exciting. One of the coolest things you can ever do. Having Treasure in My Trade out to people to get to read is one of the greatest things I've ever done. But what's even cooler is having played Nate Colt for years, dude. I can hop right in and make a live action trailer. And it's not jarring. I mean, this is me on the cover, right? Like,
right.
And the reason I'm on the cover is because I was Nate Colt long before I was writing him. Or I guess I've always been writing him long before I had intentions of publishing him, right? And I think that that's kind of
son of a gun right there.
Thanks, dude. I think that that's what's cool, right? It's like Luke said, this is next year for the Veritas Western short film competition, dude. Maybe you wrote a Western short story. Maybe you wrote a Western novel, and you're like, hey, it would be so cool to make this into a movie. What can I do to make that happen? And you now have access to such a larger world than just sitting by yourself, typing out stuff, sending it to KDP and publishing it. Like, trust me, I'm not knocking you if you're doing that. Hell yeah, keep it up. Keep writing, keep fighting, keep making the content that you want to see in the world. But you can also send it over towards Veritas and have an army of 20 plus authors right behind you, pushing your content to the front of the lines. I mean, London Baker's Pool of the Tide was a bestseller. Treasure is My Trade was a bestseller. We're reaching tops of the charts, and it's been 2 months, dude. So Veritas is bringing stuff to the table, unlike anything else. And like I said, there's a lot of people that are smaller publishing houses, indie publishing houses, and there's a lot of smaller production companies, et cetera, et cetera. But there's none that are together. There's not. We've hit 2 or 3 different levels of the market that nobody is doing. So it's just an incredible opportunity. Very cool stuff. And this is like a opportunity for a nice little soft announcement, soft launch of something that we are about to have a new market for. And we have decided to go hand in hand with the gang from Pulp, Pipe, and Poetry to push these stories out to the masses. They have an incredible Substack going on, incredible online magazine with a ton of subscribers, right? So if you write a book with Veritas, now not only are you getting it published, you might get some sort of access to a film trailer, something like that, but now you're also getting jet set out to hundreds, thousands of subscribers on a well-established pulp-centric magazine, dude. Right. Super cool stuff.
Yeah, super grateful and thankful to have that opportunity to kind of be involved with Pulp, Pipe, and Poetry in this manner, and kind of the future possibilities of that as well, and how that will grow and be cooked into Team Veritas's kind of strategy and plan. And remember, Team Veritas is not the 3 of us. That's kind of what I always try to reiterate. It's not me, Casey, and Nathaniel. It's everybody of those names we listed off. It's anybody who takes on the mantle of doing a short film or does one of our short story collections or lets a novel be submitted to us and we work together. Like, it's all of you. We are Team Veritas. And so it's cool to see what is Team Veritas going to be able to do with this publication. How can we work together to, to make it the most entertaining for those who read it and the most beneficial to those of you who are a part of it. Like, it's going to be another fantastic adventure and challenge to bring not just the books, not just the short films, but how can we do the online magazine? How can we keep kind of growing this men's adventure fiction glory back to reestablishing it to the old days where everyone's like, dude, men's adventure fiction is the greatest. I gotta be a part of it. And
that's super exciting. Super
I'm excited.
exciting stuff. Yeah, dude, the possibilities are endless, and they're right at our fingertips, right? I mean, people submitted to the Western Short Story Roundup with like they found out about it a month before, like a couple weeks before the deadline, and they pushed something out. So I think that it is just, don't be afraid to be the person you've always dreamed of being, right? Like, take steps to make that happen if you can, because that's what it's all about. It's super cool, super exciting times to be a writer, to be a men's adventure fiction fan, and just to be in the entertainment space because the world is opening up for us. So really, really exciting stuff.
This was fun, guys. I really hope that this wasn't like boring to you. It didn't feel like we were just like talking at you like, hey, check us out. It's like I hope you did see this as the invitation, the putting our hand out and saying, hey, come join us, be a part of this. We need you, right? We're all climbing up this hill. We need other people to be anchoring in, dragging up the people who are getting tired. Like Nathaniel said, when I'm publishing on my own, I can get tired. I can let that manuscript sit, collect dust. I can stop. But if I have Nathaniel and then 25 other people behind me who kind of know what we're doing, and they're like, "Hey, when are you almost done with that draft?" Then it's an extra push to not waste my potential, not waste who I'm meant to be on this planet. So, like Nathaniel said beautifully, don't be afraid to be the person that you want to be and chase after that ideal of yourself because it's right there at your fingertips. I never thought I'd be doing the things that I was doing before even the short film festival. I did not think that was going to happen in my future. I thought filmmaking was done for me, that kind of thing. And to see the possibilities open back up because of Veritas, it's just, this is too cool. And seeing how it's growing already and kind of rapidly rising, I can't wait to see what 5 years looks like from now for Veritas.
Right.
And I hope hopefully you're there with us.
Yeah, dude. If we've got, let's be conservative with our estimate. 18 published authors in the first real 2 months, dude. What are we going to have in 5 years, right? And these are incredible stories that are filled with tension, drama, action, high quality characters that you root for, that you empathize with, that you want to be more like, that you want to be less like, depending on which characters they are. This is just you're stepping into very rich worlds when you pick up a Veritas Entertainment publication, because these are people who are not so different from you or me. Heck, one of them is me. Where they love this genre, they love this type of storytelling, and they see an empty hole in the market. Not even necessarily in the market, because that sounds like it's done for financial gain, which is obviously an aspect, but they see the
stories they want to read,
right,
right. Like, where is this?
Exactly.
I want this.
Why isn't there more of a Lone Ranger scenario that's actually true to life and exciting and has more layers than just a guy wearing a mask and a white hat? It's cool to give people things that they love and have loved for years and years and years, but make them more approachable to now, more approachable to, and this is the thing too, right? I'm the number one guy for this idea, right? I love Indiana Jones. Couldn't find any more Indiana Jones, but found Ponga Jim. Read all the Ponga Jim. It's over. There's nothing else to read. You can maybe get the Gabriel Hunt stories, but now you can pick up Unwanted Passenger, very Indiana Jones adventure style thing, Fire in the Tall Grass. You have these things that people love and want more of, but then for some reason, entertainment industry is like, oh, we already have good things like that. Just watch those. It's like the old, we've got Indiana Jones at home. It's just like me wearing an Indiana Jones. I was like, no, give me the real deal. Give me actual Indiana Jones. So I think that's kind of what it gets to, is tell the stories that you love, because people also love them and they want more of it.
Right.
So super, super cool stuff. I think for end segment, let's highlight some upcoming things going on. One of which would be Pulp, Pipe, and Poetry's Boys Book of Adventure.
I believe this is going to come out mid-August. This is another short story collection, but I love the heart behind it, the philosophy behind this collection in particular, because it harkens back to the episode we did with those fellows from P3, where we talked about fiction for young men and kind of like men's adventure fiction for the boys, which is where the name of the boys comes from for the collection. This is how do you introduce a younger person to the genre? How do you give them these stories that bake in the life lessons and the values that you feel like they should be raised on? And it's so cool to have been asked to write stories, Nathaniel and myself, for this. The story I wrote is about a knight, and I love that young adult genre of men's adventure fiction, The Contender and Hatchet, these types of stories that a young young man can kind of read and idealize and kind of bake in the values to their heart and soul of like, okay, this matters to me, this is why this matters. Because stories, they really do shape us, they really do help us learn what we value, what we don't, what's important to us. And so this is a very important collection, I think, but it's also not just meant to be there to be like, we're very important. It's like these are entertaining stories when it comes down to it. Like I said, mine's about a knight. There's awesome sword fights and battles. There's fist fighting. It's a story of action, but you try to infuse the heart in there too.
Yeah, mine is about a guy who showed up in this book. I think the name of his story was Legacy of Danger and Fighting Hard a Man. And this one's called like A Man's Responsibility or something like that. But it's about a younger, so Bartholomew Cullen is the character. He's a trapper in the 1830s to 1850s kind of, and he's trapping with his father and two of their friends, and he ends up being surrounded by Native Americans who are coming after the other three men, and he's kind of outside and he has to find a way to try and save the day. And it's exactly kind of the thing, and this gets back to, like Luke said, our episode with them, man. We are talking about giving these young men characters to strive to be like, right? Like I think I said something like, you can either put them in their place or you can give them a place to get to. And I think that's what every one of these stories does. I mean, it's either, I think it's 10 authors, 8 or 10. I think Frank and Zach both wrote one as well. So you've got 10 people who, they love being a man. They love telling stories for young men, right? And they love kind of like opening the opportunity for something for boys to latch onto. And it's so cool, right? It's so exciting. So yeah, definitely check that out when it comes out. If you've got a young man in your life, or you've got nephew, cousin, son, friend who has a son, pick this book up for him, because it will be the thing that people are talking about in 10 years when, someone just jumped into the Discord and was like, hey, can you suggest, I put a reading list up for my sons and they absolutely are killing it. I don't want them to not have new options when they finish these. I want to slide those next ones right in. The Boys Book of Adventure will be one of the ones you slide right in because it is fantastic. The other thing that we have coming up, Luke and I were very much peripherally involved in this, but we want to give him a shout out on the podcast because he's a beast. Now he crosses between men's adventure fiction, but also kind of like the pipe and cigar community. And this is Timber Smoke Co. MP Dean is a beast, and his big passion was making a publication, right? We had these for years and years. We had kind of these variety magazines for men, for women, but there was a bunch that focused on pipes and tobacco and stuff. So he was able to get into the Discord and he reached out to take submissions, and he has his first issue coming out. It's either out and available for purchase or it's about to be out. It's called Timber and Smoke, and it is a pipe smoking magazine, but it has short stories. It has articles. So if you love tobacco or have been interested in it, this is a great place to start. Jump in there, grab Timber and Smoke. You can read a story by Luke and a story by me. And I think other people in the Discord have contributed to it. So it definitely has a men's adventure magazine flair, but its focus is kind of on like the history of tobacco and kind of the art of pipe smoking, which is really
Speaking of art, it is just like a gorgeous magazine too.
Yeah, dude.
I've seen it.
So
It's
cool.
just like absolutely the kind of thing that it would elevate your living room or your library. Like if you,
Right, dude.
you put
Or
that baby out there,
your lounge,
gorgeous.
baby.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it looks awesome. It has the perfect aesthetic for any kind of man cave scenario. Anything. Put that bad boy right next to where you keep your cigars and your pipes.
Yeah, dude.
Wow,
And this is
it's
the other
gonna
thing
look
too,
nice.
is like maybe you have never smoked anything. This would be a great entry point. Even if you don't smoke and you never end up smoking, if you have this sitting, like Luke said, in your man cave, dude, you go into your nice like mahogany desk
Yeah.
office and it's sitting there. Someone's gonna be like, "Oh, dude, do you smoke?" You're like, "No, but I read about it because I'm a sophisticated man." So it's definitely got I'm looking at a picture of it right now. Beautiful, beautiful cover design.
Yeah, once they come in, we'll showcase them here.
Yeah,
on
we'll do a
the
whole
podcast.
little conversation about it. Super exciting stuff, and this is gets back right to the point that we were talking about before. that is another example of people wanting things to be more like they were, right? Everything has gone digital. You can't really talk about tobacco because of the FDA. Get out of here with that. We're talking about it, dude. We're bringing back the publications. People are going to love this, and they're going to be tearing it up. And like I said, if you want to talk with this guy, maybe you're a huge pipe and tobacco guy or a cigar guy, and you're like, dude, a real print publication, so cool. I mean, you've got the Cigar Aficionado magazine. Other than that, it is a barren wasteland for print tobacco stuff. So hop into the Discord and connect with him. He's in there. He's a regular contributor to the Discord. Talk with him. If you've had an idea for a pipe article or a cigar article, dude, he would love to have you reach out. So super cool. The last thing that I'll kind of touch on, and this is more of a personal thing, there have been no decisions made by the Veritas team on whether or not this is going to be a thing. But in the Discord, and this is how great things start, we were kicking around, and Terrence Lehue hopped in. We were talking about swashbucklers. And dude, he threw around the words swashbuckler September, swashbuckling September, dude. So I had to take that to heart. And in September, I'm planning to release this character in here, one of some people's favorite story in the collection.
My favorite story in the collection.
Change of Heart was about a character named Giacomo Ferrantino, an Italian gentleman who ends up joining the French Foreign Legion and goes on a rip-roaring, swashbuckling, gunslinging adventure. And he is coming back, this time in a Treasure is My Trade length novel. So you got something to look forward to there, amazing. At least. And maybe there'll be something bigger with Swashbuckling September. Who knows? You can't say for sure. But you could hedge your bets, and if you've had a swashbuckling story you wanted to tell, start polishing that thing off. Right. Have it ready by.
Get it going.
Get it locked and loaded, dude.
Dude, it's so exciting to think about what's coming because I know next thing for me is going to be going back in time with this fella, No Redford.
Hell yeah,
dude. He was about 17 years old to 19 years old. It'll be awesome because he was a professional boxer at this time in England and gets tied up with the wrong dudes, kind of mafia-esque Guy Ritchie story for Mr. Noah Redford.
Well, super excited
for that. We got cool stuff in the pipeline, dude. Cool stuff coming. Veritas is just starting to warm up the bubblers, dude. We're going.
Right, and this is the thing, right? Maybe this is your first episode. Maybe this will be the 50th episode, I think. Maybe this is your 50th episode. You have been with Luke and I for 50 episodes. We've been talking about this for 50 episodes, so you know that we love this genre, and that's why we're publishing authors through Veritas, right? That's why we're seeking out people telling good stories. That's why we're writing stories that we want to read. So you can trust, that's our credibility, right? You know that we love this. If you're still here, you know above all else about Luke and I that we love men's adventure fiction and are trying to bring it back. So, dude, a boxing mafia story in England, dude, that's what I'm talking about. You can trust this guy with men's adventure fiction for the future. He knows what he's writing, dude. So it's super exciting stuff.
All you got to do is read Change Your Heart, and you'll know that Nathaniel knows what he's talking about. I think that's the perfect men's adventure fiction story.
It is a fun one.
Throw a compliment back your way.
Thanks, brother. We're happy to be here. We're going to be here. We're almost a year in, dude, to the Men's Adventure Fiction podcast. Crazy.
Thank you guys for sticking with us on this wild ride and joining the Discord and making that such a lively community that's always, good to turn to if I need a book recommendation, a movie recommendation, if I need to check out some just inspirational, like, adventures, there's that expedition and capers section. So always keeps the lifestyle sharp.
Which actually, this reminds me, this will go live on July 2nd, right? Which was the original release of Vipers and Red Rocks.
I don't have mine near me, but yes.
Dude, and that was the beginning of the collaborations that started.
I know, you did Nathaniel did the
live action
trailer for that when we were kind of just moving out of being strangers, we had just met and started talking and then realized what an absolute stud this guy was. I'm like, hold on. You could be Hunter Moss. Could you be Hunter Moss?
There we go.
Worked out.
There we go. Sweet. Yeah, maybe we'll throw that trailer at the beginning or end. There you go. Yeah, have something fun to look forward to. Thank you guys so much for joining in again. Another week of adventure. That's what it's all about.
Thank you guys. Take care.
We run a clean place here. No outlaws, no gunplay, just people getting by.
I'd like to keep it that way.